safety expert from Mobility Engineering, back again for another Q&A. Thanks very much for sending in your questions and thanks for watching our videos. And most importantly, as I always say, hit that subscribe button that looks a bit like this, and thank you for hitting that subscribe button and being part of our network. So hit it, it's down there somewhere, and we'd love to have you on board and your support to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please help us with that, and we'd be forever grateful, and we'll get a new prop as well. So let's get on to today's question. Today's question is all about traveling in a wheelchair in a taxi. So if you're a wheelchair occupant in a taxi, that does not, so then the wheelchair does not have tie-down points, right? So the taxi is a wheelchair accessible taxi, but the wheelchair itself does not have any tie-down points. So just a bit of a confusing start, but I'll just kind of show you, it's probably easier to show you what we're talking about. So I've got the back of an auto-adapt Karate wheelchair here. And if you look, this wheelchair has got tie-down points down here. It's got these little hook points. They're these little metal rings, and you've got them at the front. And this is what the hooks would hook onto in the form of transport, and I'll show you that when we go up onto the frame. So this would be fairly easy. We just hook onto them, we tighten it up, and away we go. However, I've got another chair up there which does not have the tie-down points, and we're going to sort of cover the video around that chair. So I'll just come up here, and basically what we have is another Karate chair, but this chair doesn't have any tie-down points. So if you have a look, there's just steel frame, and basically it's the same at the front. And the question is, can I use this legally for transport? So there is a few sort of considerations you need to make when we're thinking about this question. The number one thing is, can I use it for transport? Yes, you can. Legally speaking, you are allowed to transport in a wheelchair that doesn't have tie-down points. But what we're going to do is, I guess, give you a few considerations to make while we're talking about this when we are going through that video and that process. So the first and foremost is, our highest priority is, can the wheelchair be modified? Is it transport, friendly? Is it transport compliant? And can it be modified to have a restraint points or transport hooks put onto them, right? So what you need to do is go back to the manufacturer and see if it's got that option. In this particular case, it actually does. You can modify these and put attachments on there that will allow it to be transportable. The next question is, so that's what I would do, and then I'll hook onto them. The next question is, if it doesn't have that option, can we still use it for transport? So that, again, we need to go back to the manufacturer of the wheelchair, and if the wheelchair is approved for transport, they will have some kind of certification or some kind of license or basically approval for transport based on the testing. If it's approved, they will let you know it's approved, and they will most likely have some tie-down points in terms of recommendations on where to attach it. If they don't have the approval, or if they don't have the tie-down recommendations on where to attach it, then we need to think about what should we do. So, as I've always said from the very beginning, if we have the option to not transport in that chair, and we have the option to transport in a transport-approved chair with tie-down points, we should exercise that option, because the chair that doesn't have tie-down points, the chair that's not transport-approved, is not actually the safest option. The safest option is one that is transport-approved. But if we've got no other option and we need to transport, we can take some certain actions to make sure that we are doing the best possible thing for this particular occupant. So the first and foremost important thing, which is what we need to be concerned about, is making sure that once this wheelchair is in position, so I've got like a mock-up of a wheelchair tie-down setup. So once we're in position and we've locked our brakes in place, what we need to do is we just need to make sure that anything that we tie onto the wheelchair is tied onto the steel structural frame of the chair. I don't want to tie anything to this part of the chair. I don't want to tie anything to the wheels. In this case, it's very easy, and that's why I wanted to show you this video, because the steel structural frame is red. So anything that I hook onto, as long as I hook onto anything red in this particular situation, I'm going to be relatively safe. But if I hook onto anything that's not red, I'm probably not going to be safe. So we need to make sure we identify what is the structure of the wheelchair, and we connect to that. So if I was to connect to the structure here, I'd look for an area where I can hook this on. So in this case, I can hook that on maybe around there. Like so. I just might need to push it in. And as you can see, the difficulty that I'm having is one of the reasons why we don't recommend that you do this, because you have to make compromises in terms of how you connect them on. So I would be doing the same thing with this side and making the compromise and hooking it on like that. And in this case, I would probably want to move this closer over so I have a straighter line, like so. Let me just hook that in, like that. And that would be the same for this end one as well. And then we would do the same with the front tie downs as well. Again, I'm not really focused or worried too much about the angles on the straps here today. I'm really mainly trying to point out what we're trying to do is connect to the structural part of the wheelchair. So in here again, what I would do, I would probably have my tie down somewhere around here, like that. Then I've got metal structure of the wheelchair there. Another one, I might put over here. Lock it in place. As you can see, we do all of our stuff live. And again, metal structural part of the frame, red frame. And then what we would do is we tie it up, make sure it's all nice and secure, put on our lap/seatbelt, and away we go. As I said, the main purpose of this video is, am I allowed to travel in a taxi with a wheelchair that doesn't have tie-down points? Yes, you are. We don't advise it, we don't recommend it, but if you have to, you need to make sure that you connect your tie-down points to the steel structural part of the wheelchair. All right, so hopefully that helps. Thanks very much for tuning in. Keep those questions coming in, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.